right, welcome once again to There's Always a Song. My name is Brent Buchanan from Pure Country, and we do this every week. We have a little chat, and then we have a tune. And an original song is what we focus on for this show. And my guest this show is Bruce Hughes. How you doing, bud?
Good, Brent. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Longtime musician in the Fredericton area. Born outside of St. John, but moved to Fredericton with mom and dad.
Yep.
And Nashwauk Sis. Hey.
North Side Strong.
North Side Strong. You got that right. And then you moved out west. So yeah. What happened out west? You got out west. You were going to school, university.
Yeah, I was going to university here, and that big oil boom in the late '70s hit, and everybody just dropped what they were doing and moved west. I was one of them.
Did you work in an oil field, or?
Oh, I did some oil patch work. I did some other things, and then I ended up moving to British Columbia in up at the Alaska Panhandle in a little town called Burns Lake.
Panning for gold?
No, actually, they needed some extra teachers up there, and even though I had dropped out of university and hadn't finished my degree, they offered me a job at the local high school because they, needed a long-term supply. So I was teaching like social studies, typing, school band, phys ed, whatever, coaching 3 basketball teams, doing whatever I could at like 22 years old.
And this was back in what, the 70s?
1980, yeah, 79, 80, I think, 1980.
Yeah.
And it got dark at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I said, I need something to do. Right? So I went to this little kind of record store, music store, computer store, and there were 2 acoustic guitars sitting there, and I beat them down to like $150 on one of them and took it home, and I had 4 cassettes and 1 radio station.
This is before YouTube.
Oh, before anything.
Yeah.
Like I had 1 radio station, and the night before we moved out there, someone broke into our car and stole all my cassettes, all my brother electric typewriter, which was a big thing back then, and clothes and everything. So I stopped in Calgary, but he gave me 4 cassettes like Styx and George Thorogood and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I bought a guitar and sat there and tried to tune it to whatever, and just taught myself to play out of boredom more than anything. But
wow. Yeah. Like that must be hard to teach yourself, like a self-taught, instead of having like YouTube, for instance, or a guitar teacher or someone to say, no, you're doing that wrong.
Well, yeah, no, you make a lot of mistakes. It does take a long time. I actually approached a lady who played professionally in an orchestra that I knew when I was just learning to play guitar when I moved back here. And she said, I asked her, I said, should I take lessons? And she said, well, what's your plans? I said, well, I just want to write some tunes, strum along, play some rhythm. And she said, well, to be honest, she said, it'll take you longer to learn your way, but you'll never forget it. Yeah. And she said, I play with some of the best musicians in the world, and they could not play a 3-song ditty at your kitchen table without the notes on paper in front of them. And that stunned me. Yeah. I'm like, how do you play a song thousands of times and not
take
register?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And she says, no. So I just decided right there, well, I guess I wasn't going to do theory, because at the time I had no idea I could do this, as much as I've been able to do in the last 40 years. And it's been a lot of fun, but I'm not the greatest guitar player, I know that, because I got into it late. Like the musical brain is best at like 14 to 18.
Well, my son's taking bass lessons right now, and he's 13.
Yeah, so he'll be like a sponge and be probably the best bass player you've ever known.
He's soaking it all in. He's loving it.
Yeah. Good for him.
So and then you met your wife out there out west.
Yeah.
And then you decided to come on back to the Maritimes.
Yeah, I tell people it's like salmon coming home to spawn or something. Like the draws just so much. And I remember, because my wife's was born in Victoria, I was born in St. John. We met in the prairies, and Quebec City's our favorite place to go. So it's like the perfect Canadian love story. I was like 23, she's 19. We just had her 43rd anniversary, Monica and I, and it's been a great ride. She's been super supportive. She would never, you never say no to like wanting to go to a rehearsal or a gig. She's never been the type to say, no, I don't want you to go, just because she knows how passionate I am about it. So, yeah, you got to have that support from family.
How did she convert to being a Maritimer? Was she okay with that?
Well, at first she thought she was okay, because I told her, I said, I want to move there because I think progress will have just about caught up when we're ready to retire. And I've just retired. It was forced, but progress seems to be here, maybe a little ahead of schedule. But she thought she was ready for it. And then when she came here, like, you know, wages alone and the slowness of pace. So it took her a while, but now people think she's from the Maritimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we've been there quite a while now. But yeah, but people can't tell the difference now. So.
Yeah. Now let's go into you're highly educated. You've political science.
And psychology, double major, yeah.
Psychology.
Yeah. But that's it. A lot of people, because they know me through education, I spent half my life doing working with kids in schools and running my own programs, and they're always surprised to find out my degree isn't in education.
Yeah.
And I say, no, it's in psychology, and you know, double major in political science, but mostly the psychology backgrounds. But always, and to me, it's a no-brainer. Like we need this stuff in schools, in my opinion.
My daughter just went into she just graduated from social work, so
yes.
Yeah, we're going to get to the health issues.
Okay, yeah.
You and I both.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Do we have a paramedic standing by just in case? But you and I both, we've spent some time at the Chalmers.
Yes.
But let's talk about the kids and the at-risk youth that you mentored in the past. Are these kids that have substance abuse problems or having problems in school?
Oh, you name it. Could be everything from, you know, ADHD to autism to substance abuse to home situations. You know, I've had kids removed from the home and come live with us if they have to, just so families can get their stuff together and give the kid a good solid foundation. I was known for being a pretty fierce youth advocate, you know. One
of the great programs that is here in town is the Kingswood Turnaround Achievement Awards, and Brian puts that on every year at Kingswood, and it's a great program. If you've never heard of the program before, it takes youth who are struggling in school, not doing too well in school, and they somehow, either through a guidance counselor or a social worker or somebody, a principal, teacher, they turn their life around and they turn their studies around and they do really well and they graduate. And it's a really cool program that Brian has put on.
We had one in the district I worked in too before I came to this district, and a few of my kids have won that award, and I've gotten to go give the speech and present it to them. And it's always a thrill to see a kid that, you know, at some point of the year, nobody wants them in the classroom.
They just want to give them,
they don't understand them.
They want to give up on them.
Those are the kids I want, right? And I used music and sports to reach them. And so many, you stick an instrument in their hand and give them a month or two of time just to learn on their own, or YouTube today. And it's incredible how it would turn them around, and all of a sudden they have some prestige in the school because all of a sudden, wow, they're
so-and-so's a great guitar player.
Yeah. And I had helped them put bands together, and we do little shows at the schools and stuff like that. Every school I worked in, we always did that, and have the kids put on shows. And, you know, sometimes staff would support it. Sometimes they just kind of, right. And then at the end of the year, you do a nice show, and they're going, oh my God, these kids are really good.
Exactly.
And I'm going, you can't give up on them.
Some kids aren't geared for the classroom.
Yeah, academic.
They're more geared towards fixing cars or music or art or whatever. So
yeah, I was always a big proponent of individual education plans. I know it's time consuming and stuff, but because of the kids, the population I work with, at-risk kids, you had to come up with as many scenarios as you could to keep that child in school. Yeah. And you had mentioned when I started the high school out there, it went from 8 to 12. They were losing so many kids at 16 that could go in the woods and work for big money. Yeah. They were quitting school, and it was like, how are we going to keep them in school? Unlike sports and music.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Totally. And those were the two things that I could always do with adults or youth kind of thing. Yeah. And I've used those my whole career to reach kids, and it connects you with parents too.
Yeah, totally. Right? Let's get to the radio part of your career.
That was short, but I loved it.
Yeah.
Local station here, 95.7 The Wolf. We were kind of like pirate radio, and even some of the local guys here would tell me that, like, because, you know, everything was programmed. We got to play our own music, book our own guests, do everything. Some of them would program their last hour and go out and sit in the car and listen to us.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Because they just enjoyed, you know, sometimes we were doing stuff that was probably not right, but it was just fly by the seat of your pants. I started as a guest. They called me in on an education show, And at the end of it, they said, geez, we could use, would you like to try a show? So I designed a 12 or 16 part education series and had different guests on. Then after that, they said, geez, you should just do a talk show. So I ended up doing a 2-hour, 5-day-a-week talk show.
Wow.
Production, for the ads, answering the phones, bringing live music in, and it wasn't as big as this, right?
Wow.
And just all the musicians wanted on, right? Because we were a cool station.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, the pandemic hit and
shut her down.
Shuts everybody down.
Yeah, when the pandemic hit, we have a building with 3 stations in the building, and there was 3 of us working every morning show, and the rest of the people, salespeople, promotions, management, all gone.
Wow.
They all stayed home, and we were the only 3 people in the studio for like almost 2 years. So
I was home for that 2 years because of my type of strokes affects your breathing. It's in the brainstem category, and I didn't understand that for the first couple of years. I couldn't understand why I couldn't breathe. And then when the pandemic hit, 3 nurses messaged me, said, you can't come here, this will kill you, because my lungs were down to like 58%. And since then, I found a lady here in town that's helped me get them up to around 70, so at least I can walk a little bit now.
Well, let's get to the health issues.
Sure.
Myself, I've had 2 heart attacks.
Wow.
2.
I knew of one, but
I had one when I was 32 or 34, something like that, way back when. And you're like a walking miracle, really. Because
that's what they say.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of studying on it. I had the rarest stroke you can have. It's called a vertebral artery dissection.
Explain.
There's 2 vertebral arteries that feed into your basilar that goes to the center of your brain kind of thing and feeds everything. I happened, and they're finding this quite a bit, I don't know what the percentages are, but it was kind of a little bit shocking anyway that you have 2 vertebral arteries, but I happen to be one of the people that one didn't totally develop when you were in the womb. Yeah. But you don't know that because the other one works, so you think everything's fine. Well, I happen to be one of them and tore my good one. And clots were backing up like there's 2 walls to your artery, and that's where the dissection came into part. The walls were separating, blood was getting in behind it and peeling it like wallpaper, created this giant flap, and then clots would form behind it, and then the mass and blood pressure would push through, go into the center of my brain and close again, and then clots would form again. So.
And you didn't have any feeling of something's wrong before all this happened, before the strokes? Did you have headaches, or did you have?
No, that morning I was a little bit, I asked my wife, I'd been taking care of her for 7 months with a broken back from a texting driver. I was her home care worker. And I said, you know what, I'm not feeling that good today. I might have a flu, or I said, maybe inner ear thing. I said, I'm a little bit off balance. And I say, see if you can drive up to the community mailbox. It was like 3/10 of a kilometer. And I said, put some pillows in and see if you can drive up. And I went to get up, and just boom, down I went. And it was pretty obvious that I was having a stroke. So she called an ambulance, and by the time they got there, which wasn't long, I was sitting up feeling better than I had in a long time. Yeah. And they spent half an hour like going over, they were like, your vitals are just incredibly normal. It sounds like you've had a stroke and we can't figure it out. Yeah. So they said, you can ride with us, or we suggest you went to ER. And I said, okay, I'll grab a shower and have my wife run me into town. She was gonna take the dog for a quick walk and drive me in. And she got about 200 yards down the road, and the dog started pulling her back home, and I was upstairs having the second series of strokes. Wow. Yeah, I literally, I remember almost passing out and thinking, oh my God, they're gonna come back and find me dead. Yeah. And then I heard the back door open, and the dog just came flying up the stairs. She knew I was in trouble.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, she was all over me that morning, and that's why I said I thought she was just antsy because I hadn't exercised. And I said, so you take her for a walk, and I'll go get a shower. And I was laying in the bed, half crying, thinking, my God, they're going to find me dead. And so she came back and saved my life. And later I asked her, she goes, oh yeah, we didn't get a couple 100 yards, and she's back and right out of her harness, pulling me home.
That is amazing.
Oh, dogs are...
they can sense that stuff.
Yeah, I've been rescuing for 40 years. I'm a big proponent of dogs. I like them better than most people.
Yes, exactly. So what was the outcome of the second stroke? They obviously took you into the hospital.
Yeah.
And did you have more strokes after that? Or?
Oh yeah, they don't know how many I had. Because of the rarity, I was stroking on both sides of my brain. It's I just finally learned to correct that, because I used to say stroke, but it's a bilateral cerebral vascular accident, right? So I have giant gray spot on either side of my brain, and 3.5 hours up at the ER, nobody could figure me out. And then finally, the lady that ended up becoming the doctor that became my neurologist, Dr. Bauma, was in the building, and they said, "Could you look at this guy? We can't figure it out." And then she took one look at my eyes with the light and grabbed my wife. She goes, "I think I know what this is. My pupils don't dilate now. They're permanently tiny." And that's the telltale sign for this type of stroke. And she had seen one in her career. And that's how rare it was. And I could hear them talking, and she was trying to reassure my wife. She said, "We've got to send them to St. John. They have this fairly new procedure they've been using with some success. It may kill them, but we've got to try it, because if we don't, it's going to be catastrophic." And basically telling her I would die right there.
Wow.
Yeah. So here I am hearing that, and then they're like, "All right, intubate him for St. John." And I'm like, "What? What does that mean?" And so I'm swinging back, right? I'm like, the last thing I want to do is go unconscious, because I don't think I'm going to wake up.
Yeah, exactly.
So they had to give me some, I learned later they called it paralysis drug or something, just because, to get you to calm down. And so they can prepare you. And then I woke up next morning in St. John, paralyzed from the eyes down. All I could do is see and hear, and like blink yes or no.
Wow.
And scared out of my mind.
Oh, I bet.
But because of my background with kids and brain injuries, and I had taken some of them to Stan Cassidy for rehab and stuff like that, I knew about neuroplasticity. So as soon as I woke up and realized what kind of trouble I was in, I immediately started staring at this elbow to try and keep myself calm, and swearing at it in my mind and everything. And 3.5 hours later, it jumped. And my brother was there, whose wife had a stroke, and he ran and got the doctor. And the doctor was like, "Well, that could have been a muscle spasm." And I'm going, "He's right." Right. And so I said, "I've got to do this again while he's right there." And it only took 10 or 15 seconds, and it jumped again. And he looked right at me and he said, "You did that?" And I blinked yes. And he's like, "We have never had anyone make a connection in 24 hours.
Wow.
And within the end of the day, I could wiggle 2 fingers and rock my foot a little bit. And they were parading by with students and doctors about, and I'm in my mind going, "This is a big deal."
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still panicking.
Oh, I wish we could talk about this more,
Yeah.
but we're running out of time. We want to get to the music.
Yes.
That's why the show, there's always a song. We got to get to the song.
Okay.
Blind Dog was a band that you were in back in the day.
Yeah, well, Disorder at the Border, and that morphed into Blind Dog after about 3 years, yeah.
And now you're in a band called Unheard.
The Unheard, yeah.
Why the Unheard? What's with the name?
Well, at the time, about a decade ago, when I kind of come out of retirement, I said, I'd come out of retirement to put a band around a couple of these guys I had met at a jam. I met them all at this jam over the years, and and we couldn't come up with a name, but our whole shtick was we were doing songs that we thought should have got more attention, or bands that we thought should have got more attention, or even if you had heard of the band, like a track so deep you haven't heard of it. And that was our stick. We'd go and say, "Okay, if you recognize this song, raise your hand." And so our favorite gigs were ones where nobody but maybe the bartender who's hearing music all the time. He goes, "I've heard that one." But and then we started doing our own stuff, and we're known for being a pretty raucous, powerful rock band. And we're like the Unheard. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, you know. So.
We're going to get you to do a song, but before we get to you doing a song, we want to talk real quick about the album. You have an album that's coming out, the Unheard album.
Yep, we just released our first video last week. The rock album will be out sometime this summer. We're just waiting for the final mix. I think was going in this week of the last song, and then we'll get some CDs, vinyl, and we'll make an announcement about that. The songs I'm doing today, I have another acoustic project of songs I wrote years ago that I just decided, time's running out, right?
Yeah.
So I've recruited some friends of mine, and we're recording these acoustic songs. So that's what I'm going to play tonight.
So what song are you going to focus on tonight?
It's probably the one people know the best. It's a song I wrote, like my father and two of my uncles played, and a cousin of mine brought up my uncle's old guitar about 14 years after he passed away. I didn't know she had the guitar, and I said, "Can you leave that with me?" I said, every good guitarist got one good song in it.
Yeah.
So she came back a month later, and I wrote the song and played it for her. So when I registered it, I gave her like credit. She's in on the composer side.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just because she inspired that song out of me.
Do you play it during shows?
Not with the band. No, this is totally separate. Okay. Yeah, no, the acoustic stuff is a new thing for me. I would just do it at open mics, or if I was at a jam or something, and someone said play some of your stuff, I'd do that. Because my brain, I only remember our band stuff and my own stuff. Right. I think I remember one cover song. I've just kind of lost that. I could probably learn it again, but I don't have a lot of brain capacity, and I don't know. I do everything I can just to remember. Like we got like 3 dozen rock songs, and then I got probably 10 acoustic songs, and that's pretty much fills my head.
So what is the song?
The song is called "Still I Hear Him Sing."
Still I Hear Him Sing.
Yeah.
All right. Still I Hear Him Sing. Coming up. Thanks, Bruce, for coming in.
Oh, my pleasure, Brent.
And we could do another show just on the other half of the bio that you sent, but interesting chat. Thanks,
anytime.
Thanks so much. And we're going to come back with Bruce. He's going to strap on the guitar for us, and we'll hear it next right here on There's Always a Song. All right, welcome back to There's Always a Song. My name is Brent Buchanan, and in the studio for this show, Bruce Hughes. And man, what a story. We're going to have him back in a future show so we can go in and dive into the music more. But right now, we have some music. There's always a song on this show. And right now, Bruce Hughes and a song called Still I Hear Him Sing.
Young girl, maybe 3 or 4, sitting on her daddy's knee, looked at him with a big wide grin, said, "Won't you please play a song for me?" Says, "Okay, like to play, maybe sing a song or two." Look right down on the ground, she worships as he strums his tune. Still I hear him sing, play that old guitar. Still I see him now, and every shooting star. See hours go by, every now and then, Daddy'd take a drink or two. Look right down on the ground, see me looking back at you. Turn away, begin to play some hurtin' old country song. He'd shed a tear, grab another beer, and ask me to sing along. Still I hear him sing and play that old guitar. Still I see him now, and every shooting star. Young girl is now a woman, still hasn't gone that far. She looks around this one-horse town, can't take a trip and never leave the farm. She packs her things one by one, puts them all in her car, makes one last stop to tell her pop, who's hanging at the local bar. Still I hear him sing and play that old guitar. Still I see him now, and every shooting star. Should've left a long time ago and chased the setting sun. How do you know and where do you go when there's nowhere left to shed out tears and laid his body in the ground. I knew right then only one old friend could help me when I'm feeling down. Still I hear him sing, play that old guitar. Still I see him now, and every shooting star. Still I hear him sing, play that old guitar. Still I see him now, and every shooting star. Still I hear him sing.
All right, Bruce Hughes. Thank you, Bruce, for stopping on by. Still I Hear Him Sing, and that's an original song, and that's what we're looking for this show. There's always a song, and we look for original material. If you know someone that performs original material, get a hold of me. I'm on Facebook. Would love to have you on the show. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to There's Always a Song. My name is Brent Buchanan from Pure Country, and we'll do it again next week.